Black Adam. Once a man, now a being twisted with power, blinded by revenge, and driven to darkness. Destiny brings him face to face with these champions of light, the Justice Society. And as you see in the movie, the Justice Society is not just ready for the world, they're ready to save it. But what are the origins of this dynamic team of heroes? Where do they come from? What makes them so damn special? And where are they headed next? Hi, I'm Aldous Hodge, also known as Hawkman in the latest exciting entry into the DC film universe, Black Adam. There's plenty of room at this table, so sit down, get comfy, and for the next few minutes, it's JSA all the way. Much like in the movie Black Adam, we begin our story in the past. Not 5,000 years ago, but in 1940, the year the Justice Society was born. With World War II plunging the planet into conflict and the nerves of the nation firmly on edge, those early adventures of the JSA offered readers a great escape and a ray of hope.
The JSA is the oldest superhero group in comic book history.
I've been DC for life since a little boy. Even in the early comics, Justice Society characters that had some complex stories, but big stories.
It really was kind of a groundbreaking concept at the time. They were almost like a little bit of a social club. At the beginning, they would get together, they would have a meeting and determine how we're going to stop some villain.
The JSA really set the standard for superhero teams to come. The fact that we'd be able to launch so many comics from what was a 1940s superhero group really tells you the power of teams.
Heads up!
In the late 1950s, DC reintroduced new versions of the Flash and Green Lantern and even Hawkman, all characters that were originally part of the JSA. It didn't take long for them to group them into the Justice League of America. I think the editor at the time had said the society felt a little too retro, but I think that DC Comics realized that there was still an interest in the older characters and the older versions of the characters. So we did the second generation of the JSA. Black Adam returns in several Justice Society stories in the early 2000s.
Black Adam mathematically looked at the JSA and said, "You're underpowered. You need me." And he becomes an active member.
I never thought I'd be happy to see you.
With the JSA, there was a lot of conflict. He was never a character with half measures.
These men should face due process.
Then let the gods make their judgment. What makes DC unique, and one of the reasons why they have endured for almost a century, the characters have edge. They have a little bit of darkness.
We live in an era where there are lots of superhero groups, but for purists like myself, we always look for the roots, and there's a certain legacy we feel for something that created an entire genre.
I was always a DC kid, and I became a DC man. Building out this new era of the DC universe is critically important to me.
The Justice Society has stood the test of time. They're resilient. That's something Hawkman knows all too well. Carter Hall, his alter ego, is not only an archaeologist and inventor, but the host of a reincarnated spirit, an ancient Egyptian prince named Khufu. This existence, one spanning the eons, has gifted Carter a wise soul and superior combat skills. Making his debut in Flash Comics #1, this combination of brains and brawn made Hawkman a hit, eventually propelling him to the top spot as the Justice Society's chairman, a position he held until the end of the original All-Star Comics run. Well, that's a gig he's got again in Black Adam. Carter Hall is the leader of the JSA. Better known as Hawkman. Life after life after life, he's always sort of found himself, kept a log and a history of who he was. He has the fully fortified moral ethics, but he is a savage.
Hawkman alone has an incredible following.
He's given the assignment, bring Black Adam to justice.
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
He was from Prince in Egypt, and Black Adam comes from Kahndaq. They're basically neighboring each other, so there actually is a history between them. They are on two opposite sides of the exact same goal. That's where they butt heads.
I can help you, but no more extrajudicial killings.
I don't need any help.
You know, the audience is put in the position to understand both sides, and we never tell them, like, who's right or who's wrong.
I told you, stop killing people.
They look alive to me.
Because I saved them.
Well, that's why I waited until you were there.
In a complex world that we live in, you need both.
Activate infrared.
He's a little bit scientist and a little bit gladiator. He possesses this nth metal, which is an alien mineral which defies gravity. The Hawk Cruiser made out of that same technology.
So we're keeping the kind of shape of the original ones that you see in the comics, but then of course we do our own spin and take on it.
The Hawk Cruiser is stunning.
It's actually the size of about a 757, so it's quite big.
It is just huge, man.
Brace yourself.
I love comics, I love graphic novels, grew up on the creativity and the imagination of the whole superhero world. For me, this is kind of like one of those bucket list dream come true type of things.
Aldis is incredible. He brings a regal presence to the role.
Hawkman, he's a badass and he's funny as hell.
Caw.
The job of leading the Justice Society is anything but easy. Thankfully, Hawkman is not alone. Enter faithful friend and longtime teammate, Dr. Fate. Part paranormal prophet, part merciless mage, Dr. Fate first appeared in his own self-titled strip within the pages of More Fun Comics number 55. Ken Nelson's life would forever change when he unearthed the tomb of the wizard Nabu, a mystical force hidden within the helmet of Fate. Now serving as a Lord of Order, Dr. Fate is tasked with keeping chaos in check and bringing balance to the world. Who better to bring charm and humanity to this complex supernatural superhero than Pierce Brosnan?
I play Dr. Fate, one of the oldest characters in the DC comic realm. He has the power to teleport, him to foresee the future.
Dr. Fate is very wise, the moral compass of the team. He really has a macro view of the universe.
Your thoughts are better spent on the things you can change, not those you can't. Kent, his father was an archaeologist, and when he was a young boy, they entered the tomb and they found the golden helmet. And in doing so, the father passed away. There was a curse on it. So there's demons within him.
With Dr. Fate, there is the emotional turmoil that he's going through.
And yet he is a very kind and personable fellow. I thought the two of you did great work. First time out, bravo.
We wanted an actor that just automatically you knew, you loved, and you respected.
Pierce Brosnan, for God's sakes. Call him Father Pierce. He is a living legend and literally the nicest, most down-to-earth human I've ever met in my life.
Dr. Fate is almost like a god, and it's very intimidating. To have Pierce Brosnan, who is so warm and sensitive, really brought another layer of complexity to the role.
Having done James Bond there for 10 years, 4 films, nothing compares to this.
The Justice Society continues to expand with new recruits. Young heroes committed to doing good, but also ready to have a good time while doing it. And as we see in Black Adam, junior status aside, the forecast calls for justice.
Cyclone and Atom Smasher. It's the first time that they go out on a mission, so you have that dynamic of the senior versus the new recruits.
What are you doing? Hey, hey, hey!
They're newcomers to the JSA. They're two young people trying to figure out like how to utilize their power.
I'll be right there!
Atom Smasher is awesome. He's so funny.
He can modify his molecular structure at will. He controls the density of his body.
Atom Smasher in the comics is a little bit more of kind of a straight-laced character, not as much fun, and I think Noah makes Smasher fun.
I'm coming, I'm zeroing in on your location!
Maxine Hunkel is a 19-year-old girl. She can manipulate wind patterns and also affect sound waves. Understanding Cyclone was understanding the intersection between modern dance, acrobatics, circus work, and combat.
Their chemistry with Noah was phenomenal.
Noah is like my brother. We'll just like come up with new things every take and then just run with it and like riff.
What do you do?
Wind. You?
I grow.
It makes sense for this story because we're both just trying to figure it out, and I feel like in real life we're just honestly trying to figure it all out.
There might be a little spark of something in that, but that is clearly not the most important thing, right? They need to stay alive and they have a mission that they need to complete.
Smasher, Cyclone, what are you waiting for?
Come on, let's go!
Okay. They both have complicated, really cool histories that do impact their characters. The way Cyclone got their powers was through a villain.
The nanobots were injected into my bloodstream by this really messed up scientist who kidnapped me when I was 15.
Atom Smasher is the godson of the Atom, but he's the grandson of a villain in the DC universe named Cyclotron.
How's my soup?
You know, I used to watch you all the time as a kid. This is literally the only thing that I've ever wanted.
Yeah. Don't let anything happen to it. It's vintage.
My grandfather was kind of the black sheep of the family. So there's a lot of me that wants my uncle's approval.
Cyclone, she's the granddaughter of Ma Hunkel, a very famous character who was the Red Tornado back in the day.
Not only do I feel like Cyclone in this story is making her grandmother proud, but for me personally, I feel like I'm making my family proud, showing them like what's possible.
I remember the first fitting, I put this bad boy on and looked in the mirror and I was like, oh wow.
It's honestly amazing for me, like being a trans and non-binary person, to like see myself like be a part of a project like this.
I absolutely wanted to be a superhero when I was a kid, and it's insane being able to bring that to fruition.
It's easy to let your imagination soar over the possibilities of which new heroes might fill the seats. That's such a thrill in the comics, the changing of the guard, the ever-evolving roster. The possibilities are endless. Where there's a Hawkman, there's usually a Hawk girl. And Dr. Fate's helmet has a nasty habit of finding a new owner in no time. Are Cyclone and Atom Smasher ripe for a reunion with their costumed kin? And what will become of Black Adam? The DC film universe keeps growing, getting bigger, badder, more breathtaking and electrifying. The call for heroes is sounding louder, and the Justice Society will be there to answer it. Here's to now. Here's to what's next. Here's to the JSA. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you around the way.